Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us today. It's an honor and privilege for me to welcome you to our Women in Leadership Summit. This continuing education event, designed for women in accounting and finance, was initially offered only in major cities in the US, but has since expanded to Europe, the Middle East, and India. This year, we chose the theme Choose to Transform to emphasize the vital role that transformative leadership plays in navigating and accelerating growth while promoting a diverse and inclusive workplace. As business leaders, never before has our leadership been put to the test in such a major way. Ensuring business continuity while safeguarding the well being of all our stakeholders, we had to make adaptability and resilience part of our daily life. The traditional leadership attributes are fading to make way to new leadership style that embraces purpose, transparency, and authenticity. This requires us to remain in a state of mind of continuous learning, openness, and growth. While no one is experiencing business as usual, women have been affected the most by the COVID-19 pandemic, given that in most cases, they are also the household caregivers. According to a recent McKinsey report, women's jobs are 1.8 times more vulnerable to the crisis than men's jobs. Women make up 39% of global employment, but account for 54% of overall job losses. In the Middle East and North Africa, the MENA region, women's share of unpaid care work is as high as 80 to 90%. So governments and companies should take affirmative actions to ensure gender equity, be it through legislations to address the social and cultural barriers to encourage more women to enter the workforce, or quotas and special recruitment programs for women. And women, of course, need to be highly skilled and reskilled for that matter, mobile and tech savvy in order to adapt to the new world of work and earn their spot at the table. Today, we will hear from accomplished senior executives, women and men, on how to unleash our full potential, overcome misconceptions and challenges, and be prepared for the future of work post-pandemic in a digital transformation era. I take this opportunity to thank all our speakers for their invaluable participation and our sponsor, Wiley CMA exam. We hope that this event will start many more meaningful conversations on how women can be active agents of change and transformation in business. Prepare yourselves to be challenged, excited, and inspired. We will start our conversation today with inclusion and women on board. It's my pleasure to welcome Ms. Gwen.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Gwen van Bern, CFO RIPE NCC and IMA Chair-elect. Currently, Gwen is the CFO of RIPE NCC, one of the 5 regional internet registries. Before RIPE, she fulfilled a variety of roles within IBN AMRO Bank, Head of Capital and Risk Reporting, Global Manager Business Development, and Manager Private Banking. She's a finance executive who enjoys optimizing business and funding models in close cooperation with a broad group of stakeholders, public, private parties, customers, colleagues, and sponsors. In her spare time, Gwen is the treasurer of the Delft Chamber. I'm not sure how much you have of spare time, Gwen. Delft Chamber Music Festival, and is curatorial member of the Executive Education Program Certified Management Accountant at VU Amsterdam. Gwen, over to you.
Thank you so much, Anadi. Thanks for your beautiful words. And also thanks for organizing this. I think in Europe, the IMA was able to organize a comparable session, Women in Leadership Summit, on Women's Day, which is of course a great day for this. Today is the 28th of April. I know that a lot of countries in the region are celebrating and organizing Ramadan, of course. I'm not sure whether the 28th of April stands for something else in terms of festivities and celebrations, but I think already the fact that we are here with so many female professionals is a celebration itself, because it's always really enjoyable to see so many strong female accountants. And also I have to say, I'm always very happy that I see men because the diversity topic can't be achieved if we don't do this together. It's really also about the full inclusion. So thanks so much all for being here. I really appreciate it. And I do want to say something. I hope that everyone is well, because I also know and understood that we have people from India. And I think still as an international community, we of course follow the news everywhere across the world. And we know that you have really serious challenges still with the pandemic. So I hope that everyone is safe and well. But back to the topic for today, women on board. Thank you so much again, Hanadi, for introducing me. I've recently been re-elected on the board for the Institute of Management Accountants, and also I feel very honored to become the incoming chair. The IMA is very serious about the diversity topic, and not only in words but also in actions. Our board is comprised of both men and women in an equal way, and we initiate a lot of research and we organize sessions like this because it's indeed super important what you also mentioned, that we talk about it. Because if you look at statistics, unfortunately, it's still pretty problematic, and we need to talk about it before we can see the real change. So that's also what I'm going to do a bit today, is share some facts with you and to see indeed what we can hopefully do to change this. So board diversity, why does it matter? Well, again, I think this is not a new topic. We all know that diversity is not a trend that we need to follow or a quota that a company needs to meet. It's really about fairness, and also it's really good for business, right? Diversity is also about unbiased decision making, which I think is really an important attribute for accountants. And in the end, it really leads to better results, right? Diverse teams that bring a mix of identities, experiences, personalities, ideas, and opinions, I think will lead to better results for organizations. And again, what you also mentioned, we do need new types of leadership. More diverse leadership hopefully will create a better balance. And the economies are changing, business is changing, everything that you also mentioned. And I think our working cultures need to reflect this in a better way. So why does it also matter to work on board diversity? I think the boards represent the highest level of decision making and governance and oversight. And if you talk about the advantage of diversity, that it leads to more unbiased decision making, it's good to start there. It's also really a great place to start to change, because it hopefully will make the whole transition easier, because boards are also the employers that can really change hiring patterns. I think if we see more women there, women have a tendency to also prioritize better the diversity topic. Maybe because they've participated in a lot of sessions like this. No, seriously, I think that women do have a good eye for it, and it will help, because again, we need to change these patterns and expectations. And we also hope, of course, that if we see more women on boards, that these role models, that it can reduce stereotype expectations and hopefully install more confidence in the future leadership generations. I think always when I think about Hillary Clinton, it's such an interesting case where we saw that stereotype expectations really still play a very important role. If you ask someone, what is your impression about Hillary Clinton? A lot of people will say she's a cold woman. But maybe that's also because we just had to get used to the fact that there was a tough woman trying to get the position of chief in command. So I think this is really important, that we try to bring different views on leadership and also have different role models, so that we don't, that we force ourselves to look beyond these stereotype expectations. I think this is very important also. Again, I promised you to share some facts, so let's go to the next slides. I think the first one was just a picture of this really nice girl that said, I don't want to be a princess, but I want to be a CEO. But let's go to some facts, because if you look globally, and we also wanted to do, let's go to the next slide. Let's see also a bit what the different regions portray if you look at gender diversity, and if you look at the position of CEOs in particularly. There you see that, and again, we borrowed these data from the International Labour Organization. Worldwide, the enterprises that participated in this survey, and I think there were over 10,000 enterprises that participate, I think roughly 2,000 for Asia and the Pacific, and roughly 2,000 for the Middle East and North Africa. But from all these enterprises, that participated in the survey, 21% said that their CEO was a woman. I think it's actually quite a high number, because I've also seen research from Deloitte where it was really said it was only 3%, and 12% were CFOs, only 3% were CEOs. But this is a bit better. But still, you do see regional differences. I know for Asia and the Pacific, the biggest country that participated here was India, and I think also Indonesia and China were big contributors. And for the Middle East, Egypt generated most of the data, and I think also Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. But again, here, the facts speak for themselves, right? It's really clear that we have to do something here. And interesting enough, also you see the difference between small enterprises and large enterprises. The larger the organization, the less likely it is that the CEO will be a woman. And if you go to the next slide, we have some data for you that show a bit board representation and gender diversity there. It's a bit of a difficult graph because maybe it's a bit small for you to see, but what the graph shows you is the percentage of women on the boards according to the same ILO survey. And the light gray box is not good. So you prefer that that block is really small because that's the percentage of enterprises that said that their company had females in their board. So 0% is really not good. You prefer this box to be small, which is good for Asia and the Pacific, less favorable for the Middle East. The black boxes and the dark gray boxes are better because those enterprises stated that 40 to 60% shares of their boards are female, and for the darker gray areas, it's even over 61%. So in that sense, hooray for Europe and Latin America. But again, it shows that we need to accomplish still a lot of work before we see more gender equality. And I also really believe actually that there's a lot of room to deliver more data, more granular data, but also to share a bit more these regional differences and to see how we can learn from each other and also how countries can learn from each other, how to make this better. If we go to the next slide, the Institute for Management Accountants tried also to go a bit deeper in these studies, and they did a very thorough, groundbreaking research report very recently in California, in the US, with the Californian CPA organization. From the IMA, L'Oreal Giles and Sherry Litton were steering this, and Diane Jules from the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants. And these women have looked at different aspects of diversity, not only diversity itself, but also very interestingly, more the inclusion aspect, which is also a very important element. And not everyone always understands what it means, but that is more the feeling. So do you feel that you are being treated equitably and with respect? And do you feel valued? And do you experience a sense of belonging? And at the highest point, do you even feel safe to speak up? So this research also looked at those elements. And I think it's important to understand those dynamics too, because they're all relevant areas where we need to improve ourselves and need to see better results. If we go to the next slide, it shows you the outcome of the study if you look at the diversity angle. So women comprise a greater portion of the profession than the representation within the overall US population. Very interestingly, you see 50.8 versus 61.7. But based on workforce statistics, they are underrepresented in senior roles. This is the 23%. And yeah, again, so half of the US population, of course, is female, but only roughly 1/4 of partners in accounting and finance firms of US CPA firms are female. So again, I think the data speak for themselves, but this is really where we would like to see more improvement, of course, in the future. If you go to the next slide. So here we have explained again a bit what this is. So the graph you just saw was more about diversity, but there are other aspects as well, what I tried to explain: equity and inclusion. And I think especially the research, the conclusions that they generated with regards to equity and inclusion are really, heartbreaking, I would almost say, because especially for the inclusion part, they really had some, I think, conclusions where we really see that we have to improve this. So if we go to the next slide, it explains a bit that women are really feeling sometimes that that their working environment is difficult for them. So they feel that they're sometimes being the targets of remarks or stereotype expectations, so this is really an issue. And this particular question asked, did you leave a company at a certain moment because of a lack of diversity, a lack of inclusion, and a lack of equitable treatment? So the female respondents, that's the green box. The other box is the non-white, Hispanic, or Latino respondents. This was a broad diversity research. But the female respondents, what you can see here is that lack of diversity was already not good, right? Almost 20%, but double that amount, more than 40%, expressed that they experienced a lack of equitable treatment. So they said, we don't have the same access to resources or mentoring. So this is really, I think, a serious conclusion. So we for sure need to do more research also in the future, and also I think in different regions. But it's important to understand all these different elements and aspects to see if we can improve things here in the future. The next slide also has some hope, I think, in it, because what is very interesting to see is that we see a bit of a feminization of the accounting profession in the US. At least that's what the research suggests, right? It always depends, of course, a bit what data you put into it. But if you see in 1983, almost 40% of the accounting profession was female in the US, but it's now already more than 60%. So I thought this was also interesting because I don't recognize it out of the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, in Europe, where I live, it's very male dominant, but I did like to see also this interesting trend to see that we have more women in accounting, which I think is already nice to see. But again, now let's make sure that these women also have the same career chances as the other groups. So if we go to the next slide, maybe to quickly share some personal experiences. What Anadi already said, I've been a member of the IMA board now for several years. I'm also a board member from other organizations. As a CFO for RIPE NCC, I have to deal with the RIPE NCC board. To start with that board, that's a group of 7. And it's an information technology organization. Information technology is really difficult, is my experience in terms of gender equality. We were very lucky to have 2 women on the board when I started. Now, unfortunately, there's only 1. And also in my role as CFO, I have noticed a difference. They sometimes ask different questions or in a different way, which is really nice. They bring other, they're curious in other ways. And they're also sometimes a bit more like, oh, this is really nicely done. And so it's interesting to see the different styles of leadership. I think both are really very good and very helpful. And I'm really glad that we have some female influence in our board. I think it's really healthy. And I wish also for information technology that we see more of it in the coming years. I'm also a board member indeed of the Delft Chamber Music Festival. I'm the treasurer there. And what I would like to share with you, our artistic leader, Lisa Versman, who is a very famous violin player here in the Netherlands. The nice thing was that 8 years ago, she asked the chair, who was a man, she said, well, we have a board and I'm very happy with your support and whatever, but they're all men. Can't you try to get in more women? And our chair really took it very seriously. And now 8 years later, we have a 50 percentage of women and 50% men, so 3-3, which is really lovely. And it also works very well because we have different personalities. We ask different questions. We have a different balance, but it's also this also happened because she just asked for it, right? And I think that's also really a nice example of how we can change these things if we also speak up and start the conversation. I'm also a board member of International Card Services, and that's also interesting what I would like to say there, because the chair, when he asked me, he explicitly referred to his daughter. And I've seen that more often, is that these men with beautiful daughters, they understand that this needs to change, right? And I think this is also really wonderful, and we're going to hopefully see more of this. But it's also such a great example that your own attitude and your own behavior will make the long-lasting impact. And I think that's really wonderful. And yeah, so I'm very positive that it can change, but it's still slow. And again, the statistics, of course, are problematic. So we need to do a lot more here. Yeah, I think probably now some last final thoughts for me for today. Yeah, again, I think I already mentioned it. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think it's something that you individually can do. It's also something that we collectively need to do as a group, right? We need to change systems. We need to change working cultures. We need to change, big parts of the ecosystem. I do believe that as accountants, we can also really be good and healthy trailblazers for this. Because what I mentioned before in my presentation, right, the unbiased decision making, which is really comes very natural for us, because we should also be the ones that, deliver the facts in a very neutral way. So this is very close to the core and the essence of our profession, I would say. And it's good that we bring the facts and we start up the conversations. And I also believe that we have the skills to do this in a way that is not contentious, but in a way that is really constructive, and that people also understand it will deliver better results for the business. It does bring, there's a business game behind this too. So it will give, your organization a better chance to deliver better results. So yeah, again, try to see if you can change your own behavior, your own attitude towards diversity, not only gender equality, but diversity in full, right? Try to surround yourself with people who are different and stay curious, but also try to bring up the conversation that is necessary to change these larger structures, so that hopefully, that the daughters from our daughters will see a completely different world than unfortunately we see now in the statistics and around us. Yeah. Anadi, back to you, I think.
Thank you so much, Gwen. These are really insightful data, and I think each slide of them is a conversation on its own. And absolutely, it's a matter of change in mindset, because unfortunately, we see many companies just fulfilling the quota on D&I without really looking at also the equity part and the overall meaning of diversity and inclusion, and having it really as the corporate culture. So thank you so much for this really insightful talk. Our next special guest speaker is Dr. Noura Al-Dahiri, Head of Digital Cluster, Abu Dhabi Ports, and CEO Al-Makta Gateway. Al-Dahiri has assumed leadership of Makta Gateway from its inception in 2014. Since then, she has activated the development of the PCS system and is now spearheading its market expansion. Dr. Al-Dahiri has helped usher in a seamless transition into a totally digitalized way of conducting trade, creating a bridge between data and the port's business operations, while aligning with the Abu Dhabi 2030 economic vision of optimizing port processes. Her innovative vision, coupled with remarkable technical and managerial skills, have been instrumental to achieving successful implementation of the most advanced and high standard port community system. Dr. Noura has won many prestigious awards, in addition to being committed to social, environmental, technological, and educational programs. She serves as Vice President of the Emirates Digital Women Association and takes a leading role in supporting women in the digital and technical sectors, both at national and regional level. Dr. Noura also serves as a chairwoman of Abu Dhabi Ports' first Women Committee from 2016 through 2018. Do we have Dr. Noura with us?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, okay, we can hear you. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Good day to all of you ladies, and thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm very delighted to be here today among this great assembly of successful female pioneers and business leaders who represent a diverse range of industries and backgrounds. It is a privilege to have been invited on behalf of Abu Dhabi Ports and Maqta Gateway to this unique forum, which will explore the role of transformative leadership in enabling organizations around the world to build solid foundations for the post-pandemic economy. Please allow me to extend a note of thank you to the IMA for organizing this important event. Transformational leadership is incredibly important, especially during the times of a great change and disruption, such as what we have all experienced over these past 15 months. It requires a different style of leadership, styles that engage entire teams and inspires them to work collectively toward a united vision. By considering their unique personalities and work ethics, while inspiring them to change how they operate, transformative leaders can adapt and accelerate a new mindset geared toward positive change, discovery, and innovation. In doing so, an abundance of new opportunities and solutions can be created that serves to help grow, change, and shape the future success and growth of an organization. So, in paraphrasing an ancient saying, give someone a fish, you feed them for a day, but transforming and unlocking people potentials to catch a fish, and you feed them for life. And may I go further and propose that women are ideally placed and instinctively skilled to be transformative leaders of choice in today's global economy. In the words of an African proverb handed down through the generation, you educate a man, you educate a man. You educate a woman, you change a generation. We can see how women are making incredible strides across public and political spheres, and none more so than in the field of leadership, where women are inspiring growth and success. From Taiwan to Germany, Finland to New Zealand, the world has witnessed that women can do at the helm of governments and institutions at the highest level of the decision-making. Their compassion, empathy, and human-centered approach is redefining what leadership should look like, especially in the COVID-19 era, whereby outcomes are systematically better in countries led by women, and to some extent, this may be explained by the proactive and coordinated policy responses adopted by them. But consider how remarkable it is that today, in 2021, women lead the world economy. The US Treasury Secretary, the President of the European Central Bank, the Chair of the IMF, and both Chief Economists of IMF and the World Bank are all women. Never before in history had any of these positions held by a woman until now. The world is changing before our eyes. Across the globe, women are thriving in entrepreneurship and startups and realizing their full equality through economic empowerment. According to the United Nations, by 2030, there will, for the first time, be more female millionaires than men, whereby 55% of the global wealth will be held by women, up from 15% in 2000. Economists are redefining our reality. For Abu Dhabi Ports, we too have set out to change every aspect of a trade through the journey of business transformation. Central to this transformation has been our organization's transformational leadership, especially for women. Our resilient response to the pandemic is thanks to our nurturing of a culture of a transformative leadership across the board, one that views a challenge as an opportunity. This is the mindset that has enabled us to ensure Abu Dhabi is today leading the world vaccination drive via the Abu Dhabi Hub Consortium. Women too have played key roles in the organization's ongoing success, and I have been lucky to have been given the opportunity to establish the digital cluster of Abu Dhabi Ports Group, from a concept to what has evolved into today a vital pillar in Abu Dhabi Emirates trade and logistic proposition. With more than 400 employees and handling more than 40 million digital transactions so far, Maqta Gateway are spearheading the Emirates' long-term sustainable development. My experience with them includes multiple executive roles on several boards in both non-profit as well as across multiple Abu Dhabi Port subsidiaries and entities, such as the digital, the maritime, and the logistic clusters. Recently, I joined Aurora 50, Pathway 20 initiative, a very unique program that focuses on real actions to ensure both female board representation and the impact of their representation is highly pragmatic way. We all want women to take a seat on the table, but we also need to educate and teach women to become better board members when they actually do get the opportunities. But as we all know, the key to their success in achieving gender parity is in the realm of the leadership, is focusing in education and creating a knowledge-based economy. And I'm glad to say that the United Arab Emirates is very strong position in this respect. Almost 8 in 10 learners taking computer science studies in the UAE are female, defying the global trend. Indeed, the UAE today leads the world in the percentage of female students who are enrolling and graduating in STEM subjects. At 60 to 70%, this world-leading statistic is far higher than many other countries, including UK, Canada, Germany, France, and the US. Increasing women participation in the workforce is one of today's hot topic, a topic which we in the UAE are extremely well positioned to contribute to, with many emerging sectors today opening the way for the participation of women, including the space sector, which is still dominated by men globally. The UAE is defying all stereotypes with global unprecedented numbers in the field of the women empowerment. Approximately 40% of the team who is working on the Mars mission are women, as opposed to the mission on the other countries where women accounted for 14% on average. The significant rise in female taking up ministerial and national council role, in addition to strategic private and semi-private roles, is tangible proof of our leadership commitment that women must contribute to play a vital role in the growth and the development of the UAE society. And thanks to His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi and Deputy Supreme Commander of the UAE Armed Forces Port Support, the increased presence of women in many traditionally male-dominated fields has helped push the UAE into the first place among the nations of the Arab world in the United Nations Development Programme most recent Gender Equality Index. As leaders, we must know ourselves and our main values to influence others with a vision and a purpose. I'm convinced that transformative leadership is the key to advancing the journey of women empowerment. But women cannot reach this destination alone. They must be supported in their roles of leadership, and men must be engaged to work as equal partners. Together, we can navigate the evolving reality to ensure we enjoy a foundation for a more peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable world. Shukran.
Shukran, Dr. Noura. That was really inspirational. And And I think personally, having lived and worked in the UAE for almost 18 years now, I can say that the leadership in the UAE is really setting the standard for globally for transformative leadership. So thank you so much for your contribution with us today. Our next session is a panel discussion featuring regional decision makers sharing their experiences and points of view on transformative leadership. I would like to introduce the moderator of the panel, Ms. Asha Marigu. Asha is currently the director of the Financial Accounting Advisory Services team in Bangalore at Ernst & Young. Asha has more than 10 years of experience working in various capacities with many corporate entities, including Goldman Sachs, Mahindra Satyam, Caterpillar, Wipro, and Mindtree. She's a co-founder of EduPlot Learning Solutions that trains students for professional and international level courses in commerce. She's a visiting faculty of ICAI, Jane University, and Mount Carmel College of Commerce. She has also assisting leading colleges as a Board of Studies member to frame the syllabi of graduate and postgraduate courses. Without further ado, over to you, Asha.
Thank you so much, Anadi, for a great introduction. And I really take this moment to thank IMA for this great opportunity. And it's been great insights in the last 30 minutes. And I was just staring at the screen for every point that came through in last 30 minutes was very, very insightful. So it's my pleasure to be part of this panel. And I have eminent panelists today with me. So what we would be doing is we'll have a quick introduction of our great panelists and then start into a topic on transformative leadership, get their thoughts around it, get their experiences, right? What do they mean by it? And then see how we want to spend this 1 hour very effectively. So before I do that, I really want to take another moment to communicate to all the participants who are from India that I hope you're staying safe. I know it's difficult times. There's just a lot that we are hearing in the media, and I hope all of you are safe. And I wish all the participants here a great health, and I wish you all are safe. So with that, I'll do a quick intro of the panelists today. We have the first panelist, Ahmed Hassan, Head of Decision Support, Vodafone. Ahmed, yes.
Thank you, Asha. Thank you, Asha. Thank you actually for having us today in this great session.
Thank you, Ahmed, for joining. Ahmed is a CME. He's currently the Head of Decision Support in Vodafone, Egypt. He has more than 20 years of experience in telecom and finance domain. He has held a variety of finance leadership positions internationally and in Egypt. He's covered areas like decision support, investor relations, M&A, costing, country management, and for a portfolio of Vodafone markets and regional FP&A in Vodafone Group PLC in the UK. Ahmed, I'm really surprised at how could you cover those varieties of roles? Maybe we'll just talk about it as part of your leadership style. How did you just switch to so many roles in your career? So he has extensive volunteering experiences in different organizations, like being the treasurer and the board member of Vodafone Egypt Foundation and participating actively with IMA. So Ahmed obtained his Bachelor's of Commerce degree and Business Administration with a finance major from Egypt, followed by the CMA. A warm welcome to the panel. It's great having you, Ahmed, with us
Thanks
today.
a lot. Thanks a lot, Asha. It's always a pleasure, actually. So as you mentioned, I was fortunate actually as having this variety of roles in my career, and that was actually one key thing of having this variety of roles is back to what Hanadi mentioned at the beginning, and so far what we covered as the change itself. So, and I think we will cover this as we go in the session.
Sure, looking forward for it. I would take this opportunity to introduce our second panelist, Shilpa Kulhatkar, Vice President Finance, heading Corporate FP&A Group of Virtusa Corporation. Shilpa Kulhatkar is a chartered accountant with more than 20 years of experience. She's based out of Bangalore, and so am I. So I'm just looking forward to meet you, Shilpa, soon. And she's currently working for Virtusa Corporation as its Vice President Finance, heading the corporate FP&A group. Shilpa is a result-oriented management professional and has varied experience in the field of finance, FP&A, accounting, and internal and external reporting. She's known for her ability to establish a rapport with various levels of staff and management. She has been groomed and mentored many young professionals throughout her career and actively engaged in various Women of Virtusa initiatives. Shilpa, it's been a honor and a pleasure to have you here. Welcome to the panel.
Thanks a lot, Asha. And I'm really honored to be part of this esteemed panel. And last 30 minutes, I really liked the way that data is coming. I mean, it's a little bit inspirational now that, okay, we see, compared to 20 years back when I started my career, and now I see the progress in terms of how many, I see women across all the, tiers in the organization, but I also agree that there's a lot that has to still happen. And I think when you are in a position where you can actually influence it, it becomes a responsibility of women as leaders to really make sure that you are taking the gender equality a notch higher. So really looking forward to this session, and looking forward to this panel with Ahmed and Francis.
Absolutely, Shilpa. I think I remember a quote which says leadership is not a ladder. Actually, it is actually it's a jungle, right? It's just a jungle where you have to figure out where to go and what to do about it. So looking forward to hear from you. So we'll just start the panel by introducing Francisca Gori. It's a great pleasure to have her on the panel. Francisca Gori is Regional Director of Legal Services at Accenture for compliance, operations, regulatory, and employment law. She leads a team of around 40 talented in-house lawyers across the Middle East, Africa, and Asia Pacific. She's also the General Counsel for Accenture in the Middle East and a member of Accenture's Geographic Unit Leadership Council in the Gulf region. During her 15 years with Accenture, she has been part of several global project and transformation initiatives, as well as she has set up new operations and legal entities across Eastern Europe, the Middle East and North Africa, Asia, and Latin America regions. She sits on the board of directors of Accenture legal entities and is a board member of American Chamber of Abu Dhabi. She's a sponsor for the L&D program of Accenture Legal on gender equality that helps grow the next generation of female leaders at Accenture. Francisca lives in Dubai with her son, and she enjoys spending time with her family. And we will enjoy spending time with you for next an hour, Francisca. A very warm welcome to the panel.
Thank you, and thanks a lot for inviting me. It's definitely a pleasure. So we're gonna speak a little bit later about and sharing experiences. So I definitely, first of all, encourage everyone, to make questions and everything, and then, reach out also afterwards if you want to speak about, some of the topic that we are covering today. So really welcome. I think we definitely are a team all together. So I think it's important to bring all this great topic across all the members. So thanks a lot for inviting me.
Thank you, Francisca. And I totally agree. I guess the topic itself is so catchy. Just choose to transform, right? So it's just catchy to actually just hear the topic. And I think as we start the panel, right, all the audience, all the leaders across the world, please feel free to just drop your questions, just chat with the panelists here so that we make it more interactive. But the first point that I want to start in this panel, with all three of you is, what does transformative leadership for you mean, right? If you ask me, what does it for me mean? It's leadership is there for ages. I don't think so a term leadership is ever changed, right? It is there for the ages, but the prefix and suffix to a leadership is evolving, right? Their roles and responsibilities of the leaders are really evolving, in the era that we are leading in, right? Leaders are more, they're more exposed to VUCA, right? They're more exposed to the uncertainties. At the same time, they have to be very much on their toes to, be positive during challenging situations. There's a lot that's happening on transformative leadership. For me, transformative leadership is working together towards equality, right? So that's how I have taken, how do you create, better me, right? Better us and better working world is how we as an organization in EY looks at transformative leadership as. And that's such a wonderful word. Like, how do you make a best of you? How do you make best of others who is working with you? And how do you make a better working world for everybody? So that's a transformative leadership for me and the organization that I work for. So Shilpa, what is it for you? I'm just keen to know what is a transformative leadership definition means to you.
Sure. See, I don't want to right away talk about transformative leadership, Asha, because I think for some of the participants on the on the call here, it might be a new term. So, a little bit theory, pardon me, maybe a couple of minutes, and then I'll talk about my version of transformational leadership. So, I mean, over the years, we have heard about like a lot of styles of leadership. One is like a, autocratic leadership, which is more like a tops-down approach where the leader is the center focus, and it is based on the respect or fear for the leader that, the people around him follow the orders. And, that helps, I would say, in a business situation where, you're a CEO, where you are trying to turn around a company, which is kind of a sinking ship, right? So there's a lot of, not a lot of options to work around. So you take your quick decisions, you get your team on board, and you tackle the situation. Obviously, this style of leadership is something that, is not so great from a team standpoint, right? Because you are just taking orders, and there is not a lot can happen in terms of promoting new thoughts or even collaboration for that matter. I'm not saying this is not a, it's a bad leadership style. It works in situations, it may not work. And definitely, I think in the new age, where we have a lot of Zen X, Y, and Z coming into the workforce, clearly this is not a style of leadership that's most accepted. Then is the democratic leadership, which is, I would say, a complete contrast to the autocratic style, where you give the full autonomy to your team members, and including like coming to decision making. It's more collaborative, yes, and the good part is the team feels empowered, and they can create you can by that logic create a high performance team. I mean, I follow Indra Nooyi Lloyd, the CEO of PepsiCo. I really love her leadership style, and I think, and I do follow her, all the videos that come in terms of the leadership and grooming. And I mean, I would suggest, if you guys have not, everybody in the call here, please do follow some of her videos. Truly inspirational woman. I think her style is more like that, it's a democratic, collaborative, participative style, and how she worked through her experience. In, this, again, this style, I would say, would work when we have a well-trained team, right? The team is expert in their areas, they can take their quick decisions, and then you can rely on their judgment rather than worrying about it. In that case, the environment is also positive, the team feels empowered, and then the work happens faster. The drawback then is, if you have a team which is not well trained, then it will impact your speed of decision and execution. So I think a little bit of I think the leader has to, in that case, take the step in and make sure
take
that
a switch, basically, whether it is autocrative, collaborative. You're saying a leader cannot actually, I mean, if the discussion that you're having, Shilpa, the way I think I'm understanding is, no one leader can have one style in this generation, right?
Yes,
we need to actually keep switching the styles, and because one size fits all would never be applicable to a leadership, right?
Absolutely.
It's all like, sometimes it is focused on results, sometimes it's focused on fun, sometimes it's focused on well-being, right? Sometimes it's focused on the larger social responsibilities an organization carries. So with you, which style do you follow, Shilpa? Just collaborative.
Yeah, so I think for me it is more like a collaborative and participative style. Now, talking about the transformational leader, right? So it's kind of a best of both worlds. In a transformational leadership, it's like the leader is behaving, it's influencing the behavior of its followers, and he's inspiring them. I mean, we know Gandhi ji is a very great example of that sort. I'll tell you, like, the leadership is situational. The type of leader you become is depending on the situation. And for me, it is important that the leader really understands the situation that he's in and kind of adapts himself.
Right. Be agile,
and it is related to a
agile,
bit of transforming that.
Choose to transform.
With the kind of people that are there and around you to get the things done. And what's important really in this for any leader is to be result oriented and time bound. right? Otherwise, I mean, there is a Parkinson's law, right? The work expands to fill up allotted time. You have 2 weeks to do the job, you have 1 month to do the job.
Yeah.
We'll still end up doing the same thing. So having that result-oriented mindset is very important. And for me, continuous self-development is another important aspect, because that's the way you can inspire others to learn and, you know, drive leadership traits within themselves.
Absolutely. I'm just interfering in your thoughts, but I would just want to quickly go to Francisca and see that you mentioned that result oriented and self, you know, learning is most important. I agree, learning is part of our journey always, but how does, Francisca, this result oriented leadership is successful with you, right? We just want to hear your story. 15 years with Accenture, and you're on the legal board and you're on a senior position, right? So was it always a result oriented approach, or what's your style, and what's your story of being a leader?
I will try a lot of questions in one. Let me try to summarize. Asha, so now part of the joke. So one area I think about transformation, and thanks a lot for the question. I think really resonates to me a lot, because and probably as individual, as a woman, as a mother, and as a professional. So because bring me about change and courage to change. So I think being you know, being happy and being successful in your what you do, and probably is in at work is like that, maybe even personally, is about taking risk. And so if I look back a little bit of my story, so I was, you know, born and raised in Rome, in Italy, and then I moved within Italy because of studying, because of work, and so I was not afraid to change. And then 5 years ago, from Italy, moved to Dubai. And looking at the opportunity that I had, you know, in 15 years in Accenture, so a lot of time, but being in the same company, I was actually able to change. So this is a good opportunity, of course, being in one organization, but to change within the organization in my role. And if I look back on one moment in my career where, after, you know, this is probably was the moment where I was able to get into the next level. So let me give you a little bit of that. So maybe give you the what I'm trying to say in terms of risk. So I was pretty successful in my role. I was the legal director for an expert, very strong expert on, especially on employment law at the time, and you know, covering a lot of big transaction, and everybody were, you know, trust me, coming to me. So I would what we call it probably comfort zone, and comfort zone also with rewarding in terms of recognition of success, but not the promotion at the level that actually I wanted to achieve. So I thought that probably, because after a while, I thought maybe there is a need of change. I was not really sure what was going on, right? Because a lot of things ain't going well, but then, you know, it was not coming what I was thinking. So I changed role within legal, and actually after a while I got the promotion. So that was interesting, because, you know, after that change, you know, I got definitely more risk, an area where I was not really so comfort, and but then give me the possibility to open up, to rethink, maybe to unlearn, which is also very important. So you learn, but also to learn is important, to unlearn, and then to get exposure to different people. Of course, getting the people that know you as your sponsor, but they get the exposure. Now, what happened probably in the past? There happened two habits that actually were two habits in my career that were very useful for me to be successful. One was the perfectionist trap, and the other one, the over-evaluating expertise. So I don't know if any of you read the book, How Women Rise. Very interesting book, which is really about the 12 habits of women. I think it may apply to one that make you successful, but actually may hold you back. And that was, out of these 12, I think these two were for me something that, you know, were holding me back from growing. So I definitely learned that the change and take the risk and change, even to go outside your specialization. That for a lawyer, I'm a lawyer, so for a lawyer it's not easy, right? Because you want to be perfection, so you cannot make it wrong. But you need to take that risk. And then I was over-evaluating my experience, meaning I realized that the leaders around me want me to continue to do that job because they want me to do that job because I was the expert, I was right, but this was not allowing me to grow. So going back to transformation, I think we always need to put ourselves, for us, but also for our team, in a situation what we allow for the other to be successful in the organization. So, and bring them along through the risk.
Absolutely.
And let them know they can also make it wrong, because without change, without risk, and without also somehow failing, you cannot really gain innovation. Innovation is about making things wrong sometimes. Otherwise, you're not going to innovate. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So to your point on, it's, I mean, I think I can hear you for next 1 hour. It's really interesting the way I think you adopted and you changed and, moved away from your comfort zone to get to new roles, to explore this leadership style. So you mentioned about sponsorship, right? So maybe I'll just go to Ahmed and just talk about a little bit about sponsorship. I was reading this Harvard HBR, Women at Work survey. And Ahmed, to you, the point, right? So what this particular survey said is that, generally when it comes to networking, I don't want to make it like too women-centric, but now that we're just talking about it, when it comes to networking, what generally, this survey says is the women associate themselves with the common people that they all know, right? They go out for lunch with a common set of people. They always hang around with common set of people. They get a comfort with common set of people. So this survey says that, to be able to be great at work, a woman should be doing 2 things. One, don't find a mentor, because mentors are the people whom you associate yourself. They guide you. They, tell you how to come out of a situation. But find a sponsorer, it says, right? So a mentor and a sponsorer plays a totally different role. Mentor comforts you, sponsorer challenges you, right? Saying, why can't you do this? Right. So, and the second thing this particular survey says is that how do you make more networking connects? Like, now we're all working virtually, but even then, right? So how do you make 2 connects a week, right? 3 connects a week, know more people, right? Know what are they working at? So as part of, decision support, Ahmed, that you are there, my question to you is, did you sponsor more women to get into a leadership role, and what was the organizational effort there? And the second question I have is, do you agree that women tend to get into common groups? And maybe it's very stereotype thinking, but this is exactly what the survey said. So I just want to know what do you think about it?
So let me respond first to the sponsorship part. So sponsoring, I believe, is a key thing in growth and development for people. And speaking about how this can be helpful for, it's not, as you mentioned, it's not a gender-based thing. It's sponsoring in general. So once you have a sponsor, it means someone that helps you grow. So it's a key thing to find someone that you trust and you feel like they will give you all the tools to make you grow. Either a part of a sponsorship is mentoring as well. So sometimes you would be mentoring someone to get the best out of them and challenge them as well to make them expand and make them stretch themselves to again get the best out of them, of themselves. So this is a key thing for people growth in general. And speaking about women in specific, so we had a program in our company that was named Reconnect. Reconnect was something that getting back women that stayed for something like 2 years exactly to work. And that was sponsored actually by overall the company, and that was a key thing for getting back experienced women into the workplace and getting again them back to pace. And actually it proved to be very well established program, and the results of it was very good, and it is still continuing. It's something that was established a few years ago and it's still there. So that was sponsored by the company. So that is a big sponsorship on a scale of the company. And then moving to sponsoring someone, again, it is something that is very important, I believe, in people development. At point of time, I was sponsored.
Yeah, I was sorry, I was
please
just
go ahead.
interfering to ask your thoughts. That how do you identify that person who is worth sponsoring, Ahmed? Now that you're part of decision support, right? There are certain qualities, that all of us would look at it, right? It's not like, it's all mutually inclusive. We may not really define these, but what comes on your top of your head? Like, who are the people whom you worth sponsoring?
Okay, I believe it would be someone that is a real influencer in the workplace and in life in general. So I would look up to a sponsor as someone that I want to be like. So unless I totally believe and see what they do, not only listen to what they say. Saying is easy. So I can tell you lots of stories, and when it comes into real life, it's not there. So it's all about how you make people see what you do, make people feel and live what you experience. So
Right.
passing experiences to the people that are around you, being a role model in the workplace and in general in lots of other activities, being someone that people look up to, how they do work, how they speak, how they engage with people, how they live their own or they believe in their own beliefs and the way they do things to be as successful as for other people, not only themselves, for them to succeed and to develop. So I believe those are all key features that would make someone a real good sponsor, and definitely sharing best practices with people. So if someone is fortunate to have lots of experiences, and alhamdulillah, I was fortunate to have a kind of good experience during my career. So it's always good to make it a kind of a common thing in the workplace. It's not something that you should take for yourself only. So being such characteristics, I believe it's something very good for a sponsor to have.
I'll come back on a second question to you, I think, which I said, do you generally find women associated with the comfort zones? I'll be back to you. But before that,
Sure.
Interesting point that you wrote on Ahmed is that, I've been reading this as a kid that, fake it until you make it. This is a very common statement I've read, like you just fake it until you make it. But I think over the period, I've realized that, maybe I'll switch to Francisca, maybe to you, right? So little relevant, more from the perspective of, you leading the Accenture D&I agenda, right? So I somehow believe that, you should not fake it, right? Don't fake it until you make it is the statement that I would go in, because I think faking seems to be good, but how long can you fake it? What Ahmed, you mentioned about, like, do you live up to your words, right? You say XYZ, then I can do everything. But when it is coming to doing things, then you will have your own limitations, right? You bring those self limitations into you, like, no, I have this, I have that, I'll not be able to do it. Now it's pandemic, right? We are doing virtual working. There's so much of work at home. I have to take care of this. There's just a lot. I mean, I'm not talking it just women or men. It's generically all of us have this self-limiting beliefs, right? Which until we, stop faking it, we'll never be able to overcome it, right? We may once, twice or thrice talk about it that I'm out of it, but until you truly be out of it, you'll never be able to actually get to a leadership position. So this is what I feel. Francisca, what's your thoughts on self-limiting beliefs and how one can overcome it? I mean, do you think it matters?
Yeah. Well, no, I think, well, first of all, of course, we do have our belief, and behind our belief, there are assumptions that we have, right? So I think one thing that I learn and often I share also with my team is making sure that you explore and you have your thoughtful on which are your assumptions behind your belief, and then try to figure out as much as you can in this exploring how much these assumptions are impacting your aspiration. Once you identify that, then think about if those are self-limiting beliefs. So our belief that actually are limiting yourself on going out, on growing. So I think one of the benefit of this exercise that usually you should do it also with somebody else. So somebody that you trust. It can be your coach, because it should be open question, not solution. It's your own way of looking your life. So you need definitely to get, somebody that you trust to open up about this belief. And the exercise actually should be the powerful one. It should be to replace it with the possibility thinking. So typical, I think one of the typical thinking that we have is that in order to take more responsibility, in order to grow, my assumption is that I need to work more, I need to travel in other countries. So I have a family, I have a young family, I cannot travel. So therefore I cannot get promoted. I cannot go to the next level because of that. So then you pause. I'm not saying it's not true, but it's for sure is an assumption. And so you need to pause, think, and then replace with the possibility thinking. How you're also in fact, or you're gonna actually replace is probably asking help. And asking and maybe looking around you on something that is not give you evidence of the fact that you are correct on your formula. So it's going back to unlearning. So I'm reading recently a book which is very inspirational. It's Adam Grant. It's called Think Again. And it's for the organization, it's for manager in an organization, because it's asking you to have a scientist mindset. So if you think about your self-limiting belief, you have got your limiting belief, and you always look around, you say, you see, he's traveling a lot. You see, so you want to get evidence that you are right in your formula with a sort of prosecutor mindset. So it goes to the lawyer stuff. Instead, if you bring your scientist formula, the scientist, it does the opposite. And unfortunately, we see a lot of scientists recently with our situation at the moment, right? So, and they do the opposite. So they try to understand everything that is impacting the formula.
They need to find a solution.
Yeah, so that is somehow is the scientist mindset. So if you believe that, being a father or being a mother is not possible together with growing or taking more responsibility, try to challenge with the possibility and change the mindset. So this is very true, I think, especially for women when it comes to the cultural mindset in a situation or in a country, in an organization. So it's important that you ask help and you make this exercise, and your self-limiting can even change. So having that exercise and purpose. So this is also one of the formula, having a purpose on what you do, because this will allow you resilience and will allow you to don't lose the track, especially when difficulties are coming, because they're going to be difficulties. So those two elements, I think, the exercise, possibility thinking, and keep it everything under the purpose in your moment of your life will help you to go through.
Absolutely. I think that's something you very well said it, right? So I think it takes a lot of time for us to realize what purpose means, right? As a child, when I was doing my education, right? So everyone defined success to be, you reaching into a CEO position, CFO position, right? Becoming so and so. And all the successful people are defined to be people with high wealth and, high intelligence and, high positions. So I mean, my story goes this way. I always was thinking that, okay, if you have to be successful, then you have to be at this level, right? You have to be making this much money. You have to be at this position. Then I think over the period, I realized that, the purpose of you being at that position is something else, right? It's a happiness. Over the period, what I realized is, it's that happiness that you find it. It could be any small thing that you do, any minute thing that you do, but if you find happiness in it, I feel you lived your purpose, right? And that's a starting point for you to solve all the problems. Francisca, very well said, and it really inspired me to hear you these words. And it also reminds me, I'll go back to Shilpa and Shilpa. Okay, this reminds me about all childhood stories that we bring in. When I went to a zoo as a child, right, there was an elephant which was tied to a small, small tree which was just cut. And I was asking my parents that the elephant is so strong, right? It's just so strong, and why is it just not going? Right, it can just go. I mean, it just takes one step for an elephant to just break that chain and go everywhere because it's so strong. That's what you've taught me. But then I think my parents told me that it's all the assumptions which is put into the elephant's mind. Right, it's those assumptions that's been put into the elephant's mind that you cannot move, you cannot break a chain. It just starts to believe in it for years together, and it just forgets about the strength that it carries. Shilpa, on those lines, I'm comparing an elephant to a digital bird, right? There's so much happening onto a digital world. It's a big elephant, right? It's just so massive elephant. And some reason we all are overwhelmed with the digital things, with the information system technology advancements, right? There is many tools coming up, our automation that we are talking about. And you lead an FP&A FP&A division, which is full of finance and chances of an automation. 20 years in your career, I'm sure if I go back to your first year of your career, a lot of things were manual, right? It was just a calculator and a computer, but it's a lot more now, right? How did you break that assumption of an elephant and moved away? And how did you help your people to move away with the assumption that they can't crack this digital world?
Yeah, that's a great question, Asha. Definitely, I think over the years, what I've seen is, I mean, when I started back then, in small organizations, definitely when computers were, a thing of the next generation. And over the years, as I've worked in the software industry, I think is one of the industry which is at the forefront, right? I think in terms of the finance automation, it comes probably in the DNA of being a part of a software company, that you tend to look for better alternatives internally as well to improve your operational performance. So one issue I have seen over the years, and I have faced it myself early on in career, that okay, if you do a lot of automation in the finance operation, will we have jobs, right? Will it replace us as finance professionals? Because a lot of finance is really about transaction processing as well. So I have seen teams struggle with that. Okay, will my job remain? But I'll tell you, right? I have seen like 3 finance transformations in my current company. I've been here for more than 10 years now. One is, when we went from our in-house finance tool to an ERP, but it was on-prem. Then we are moving from an on-prem to a cloud, cloud-based ERP. And along the journey, we also automated a lot of the reporting. And there is so much data out there now that, with the, automation that's gotten in, there is so much data, which is FP&A runs on that data, right? Data mining, how you analyze, how quickly you can turn around the results to, for the management to take quick decisions around either changing the course of action or taking new, going on to new segments, new business. So definitely for us, it has been a journey. I think for me personally, it was first for myself coming over that fear that, okay, it's not going to replace your aptitude. It's not going to change what you yourself are, and then convincing others in the team. So I remember back in 2012 we started this whole BI automation journey. I mean, it was an experience in itself, right? I think it goes back to what Francisca was saying, that you have to challenge yourself. Unless you challenge yourself, go to the not so comfortable work stream, you would never be able to understand, okay, what we have missed. So this getting the automation done on a BI or even a budgeting platform, going on to a budgeting platform, which is, when you're planning for future, there are so many aspects which are not based on trend or not based on your past performance. So even there, thinking out of the box, going out there and implementing a tool that will somehow give you an answer to some of those questions. It was an experience as well, and I'll tell you, my team really loved that whole experience of transforming from a manual world to a technology
computer world. But what are you doing, Shilpa? I think in terms of, just a message to all of us here that, when we move into this digital world, there's so much of data, as you mentioned, right? As transformative leaders, and as what Francisca mentioned, that you need to find a purpose in the work that you're doing. There's so much of data, right? How are you coaching, or what is the programs that you are running to upskill people in the relevant domain, right? Because even if it's FP&A, there are thousands of tools. I don't have to know all thousands of tools, right? So what's your role as a leader to upskill the people in the relevant technologies that they need to know, right? Awareness and the expertise is 2 different things. They might have to be aware of everything, but they don't have to be expertised in everything. That's creating a stress amongst the middle level and operational level people, that, oh, I don't know this, how do I run this? So what are your initiatives?
No, definitely there are. So, and it's not an FP&A focused initiative. It's just a finance initiative that we are doing across, because as the technology is evolving so fast, I think it's important for us not to get displaced, right? I think it's important that we keep abreast new stuff that's happening there. So we have a continuous learning program, right? So on the job, there are, for example, for anybody to get into a FP&A team, a minimum knowledge of a Microsoft Excel and writing macros is required, for example, right? Even at the entry level, that is a minimum that's required. So that kind of challenges the person who's coming for interview. Also, there is something to look forward, at the entry level. And secondly, we do have certain programs where we kind of refresh, because I think it so happens over a period, there is a bit of complacency that comes in, that okay, you get used to a certain environment and a certain set of systems that you are out there. So we actually ran a very interesting program which is called the RPA initiative, in which we actually went around and we asked the team members to they themselves should come up and give a 2 ideas each one.
You ran a hackathon
in your area of work, which are the
ideas,
robotic process automation. You think you are doing some robotic job and that can be done by a robot. Tell us. So we actually were over them, right? We got like 150 list of 150 things that people thought that, that was part of the job. But then when we challenged them to think about it, it came as
how
a
do you
list.
move
And
out
then,
of
obviously.
zone and yeah.
And then we have, like, being a software company, we have all the RP experts within the organization. And absolutely, that was a great success. It also helped, our team as a whole, because we achieved like a 10 FTE improvement in terms of, either it meant really that, people can go home early, right? You don't have to stick around at office and work those hours. So these kind of things are there.
Great.
And,
absolutely. I think what I'm hearing, Shilpa, is you're saying, I think training and developing a digital mindset is what I think is part of a leadership roles that you as an organization invested. And I think you mentioned a very good point that you made them think out of a comfort zone, right? Like it's, how do they just come out and think out of a comfort zone and start thinking about the benefits of automation? So to this point, Ahmed, I'm back to the question that we started, right? So I'm back to this comfort zone question that, I think I had this question that, do you believe that, I'm asking specifically this question to you because all of us, perceive ourselves in a particular way, but you being on the other side of the decision board, right? Do you believe women generally get into a comfort zone in your experience, right? In terms of the ratios that you see as kids, right? We see that most male and boys in the male actually are used to gadgets, right? They're used to, I think, ideas about technology, but I know it's changing now. Generation, I think, has changed so much that everybody is equally keen and they're very curious about technologies. But what's your experience, just more from a gender perspective? Do you find women being more in comfort zone? If so, what do you advise, that how can they just come out of this fear of doing new things?
Honestly, and based on my experience and actually my career journey, no. Because actually comfort zone is not gender based. Comfort zone, any man or woman can be in a comfort zone and they are very okay with that. I'll get back to what Francesca mentioned about purpose. So I see purpose is the fuel of change. So unless you do have a purpose, you wouldn't be able to change. So this is something that is not a complementary thing. That's a fundamental thing for change. Being in a comfort zone is a resistant to change. So if you do have a purpose in mind and you do have a real target that you need to do something, you will definitely get out of your comfort zone. And actually, as I told you, across my career journey, I almost did something new every 2 years on average. So and it's always something that
absolutely.
is
I think you
out
just
of
did
comfort
so many
zone.
profiles. Exactly, so many profiles: FP&A, decision making, and I think country management. It's really interesting.
That was a good thing, and actually most of them was getting out of a comfort zone and going to something totally new learning, new exploration, new people. Even when I moved to the UK, so it was after 16 years in Egypt, and then I moved to Vodafone Group in the UK, and it was a kind of a total turning point in my experience in general, because it was an angle that I looked to things, a totally new angle, looking into things and living with new cultures, mixing with new people, and that was a real eye opener for me. So comfort zones is a fake position. Actually, if you kept yourself in the comfort zone, then I don't think you are bringing anything out of yourself. You are just okay with what you do, and nothing new will happen. And if you think that something new will come over to you, then it's a false message. You will have to seek the new out of your comfort zone. you will have to change routes every now and then. Changing routes is the thing that brings out the best in you. Otherwise, you'll not feel it. You'll not know it actually. If you feel like you are doing great in what you do, and this is it, and you have nothing else to learn, you will never be able to know that there is something out to learn.
Absolutely.
And at a point of time, I was trapped in some mindset that I've done most of the finance things, and I went through different finance positions, and I'm an expert in finance. And then I moved out of my organization, going to Vodafone Group. And at this point, I found that, okay, I've done everything in Egypt. Going out, there are lots of million experiences and thoughts and learnings that are still there to explore. And actually, that was a complete turning point to me, that someone is never done learning. Every new day is a learning for someone. So don't miss it. It's an opportunity for you. Why don't you take it? It's an open buffet. Why don't you go and eat whatever you can eat, as long as you are able to digest? Because this is a kind of something that you can has an advantage and disadvantage as well. Don't overload yourself, right? Exactly. Yeah. But at the same time, don't miss opportunities. So
absolutely, strike a balance. You're saying, like, it sometimes gets overwhelming that you need to do everything, but practically you just can't do everything. Exactly. So how do you strike a balance and do things which you get excited about, right? Which your heart calls you, that okay, the purpose is at the center of the heart. Whatever you want to do, it just try explore it. Yeah,
exactly.
That's amazing, Ahmed. But my thought here is, maybe Francisca, I'm moving to you now. You head the L&D agenda, right? So, I mean, you kind of help many women, and you mentor them on these areas of development towards leadership. But to Ahmed's point, right, my thinking is this: like, it's the entire position of a leadership is triangle, isn't it? We all know, like, getting into the top, the positions are very, very less, right? So how many of them actually get the opportunity to get there? So in the name of the inclusion and diversity, and then talking about all of it, we may try push some women voluntarily comes up and learns about it, right? And it's just not about women. Even a lot of people, for that matter, in an organization triangle, it's not that easy to get into the ladder, right? So if you are that transformative leader and leading this agenda of inclusion and diversity, what is that you are helping people to think about getting into that smaller top of the triangle, which is like road not taken by many?
Well, I think as individual, but also as organization. So when you are sitting in a place where is in the core of what you do, the gender equality or equality in general, right? In inclusion, diversity, I think is not just something that comes by chance, right? So there is definitely a focus, there is definitely a driver, and the driver is based on, I think, years and years of research as well. That is not just the right thing to do; it's just the things that needs to be done also for organization to be more successful. So I think you probably have read a lot of research where it comes that having the importance to be an innovative organization. It's true. It's not just for technology company. And Shilpa just said, the importance to be innovative in the mindset in everything you do. And so as organization, to be innovative, you need to have a diverse workforce. So, and because the diversity brings innovation, brings a different idea, and brings, success. So this is, I think, is not because Francesca is telling that. I think we got a lot of research. And this should be the base of your own thinking, also as a leader, if you work also in a profit organization, because it makes the organization successful. And then look and don't take it for granted, though. So even though it's like that, there is always a lot of room of doing more and talk more about it, but also having a clear goal in your organization to make this happen. And so this is, I think, we can talk about, I think, hours about the different different program or project that you have in legal. In Accenture, we have very strong robust program. We are in-house lawyer. We are more than 3,000 lawyers across Accenture, so it's a big team. And I can tell you that our, for example, gender balance in up to almost 50%, but it's not 50. So we are still trying to gain what we believe it should be the equality. And then also when then numbers may even change when it comes to executive. So I think this is important in terms of how you can drive the sponsorship of a program.
Yeah.
But now going back to women, I think it's important because I want, we look, Ahmed, and we know that, women without the support of men, definitely cannot, we cannot be successful. And it's true also the opposite. But I would like to spend 1 minute, only one research that I read from Harvard Business Review sometimes back, which made me like thinking a lot, which is about the women, how women supporting other women. And actually, from the research came out that we shouldn't underestimate that, because sometimes women are not supporting other women. And this is go back and why that. And this is a consequences of where we are. So, because as you said, if we unconsciously, we may end up to look up and say, oh, there are so few women. So you believe that that slot is only for women. So you look at women as a competitor,
competitor, right?
Competitor, not man. So what you do unconsciously is that if you are a leader, you don't open up to other women, and because you believe that even the younger women might be competitor for you because there are so many few slots on top. So you don't even younger, but even your peer. So that is a terrible, consequences of something that it's, we are in such a situation. If we leave things like they are, we continue to have small slots and not supporting other women. So I think we need to be mindful as women to that unconscious thinking that we may have. And of course, we definitely need men, but we also need women to support other women, because if this is not happening, we continue to have very few slots. So that's like an ask for each of you, men and women, everyone, is that we shouldn't be conscious on this mechanism, because we may end up, it's called that.
It's like you're playing a musical chair, right? Yeah, you're saying you're playing a musical chair. You see one chair there and you're running around to grab it, but you don't see that there are multiple chairs around. Why don't you just grab it, right? So don't take, I guess, leadership position as a game. Take leadership position as a hunt, right? Like you treasure hunt, you find what skills are needed to get there. So yeah, no, this is amazing, and it always touches me to talk about this topic, actually. So I was also reading about, maybe one last question, and then I think we can keep talking. This is such an amazing topic that we can keep talking about leadership, women in the leadership, and I think it just never stops. And the more we speak, right, every time I speak about these concepts within our organization, and I train people on transformative leadership, and I talk about how growth mindset versus fear mindset makes a big difference, right? To your point, Francisca, I think a fear mindset is where you look at that position and you're fearful that somebody will grab it, right? Therefore you try please people, right? You try start to showcase that you're doing a great work. Like, whereas what is growth mindset is you encourage thoughts, right? You ask people to think differently, you take people along with you, so that you create a more space for everybody, right? So there's such a big difference of that growth and a fear mindset that comes up along with this journey. And transformative leadership, all about is creating and cultivating that growth mindset in people, right? There's one interesting research. I'm seeing Prajwal raising the hand. I will just go to Prajwal. I'm not sure if Prajwal can ask the question, or Prajwal, maybe you can just type the question if we're not able to unmute, but I'll come back to you. There's one very interesting research, Shilpa, Ahmed, and Francisca, that I was reading, right? I opened up a statement of the session to say that for me, leadership is all about working together towards equality, right? So that was all about it. So I'm not blaming, maybe Ahmed, to you specifically, this question is that what this research says is that wherever a man works for 55 to 60 hours a week, right, the woman quitting the jobs is extremely high in those families, because they have to support children, right? They have to support families. So it's that composition of hard-working men's family generally will have a less women getting into leadership roles. In fact, I think women are quitting jobs because they're not able to balance family needs. Vis-a-vis where the men is working on an average of 45 hours, and this is also Harvard research, wherever the men works for 45 hours, or maybe more from an Indian context. I'm not sure, Francisca Ahmed, it would be more relevant from Egypt and the global perspective, but if I look at from an India perspective, people are quite hardworking, right? They work 16 hours, 15 hours, 17 hours, and when men in the family works like this longer and longer and longer, women starts to take a back step to take care of family needs. So my question to all three of you, right, is how do we overcome this, right? How do we create an equality at the family itself, right? We talk about organization policies, etc., but how do we support within the family that balance? Ahmed, maybe the question to you to start with.
So it's all about actually agreeing on the balance itself. So it is something that has to be agreed, because it's not only men that can consume good time or big time of their lives in their careers. It's also women that can have the same thing. And at this time, maybe a man can be the one that is giving up things to take care of the kids. So it's a balance and agreement that has to take place. That's in my opinion. It's setting kind of prioritizing what needs to be done in a family level, and having it in place. So
basically looking at a
it is the
holistically
balance.
life as a whole, right? Just not separate.
Exactly.
I have been seeing, okay, I'll be honest, I've been seeing that we take sometimes profession as a lot of, it's a drama in my mind, right? Everybody gets into a professional word and you just separate your personal life with the professional life and it becomes a dramatic word. So I have been, I think, in my organization, whenever I speak to women who quit the job, the first question I ask is, why are you quitting? If it's because of the time that you're not able to give it to the family, did you speak to your family, right? Your extended family? Did you speak about getting a domestic help, right? Did you speak about, compromising something, basically living with one guilt, right? That's what I always tell them. You have two guilts in life. If you do a job, that you're guilty that you're not taking care of family. If you're taking care of family full time, you're guilty that you're not doing a job, right? Now, which guilt substantially that you want to live with? There's one guilt that, all of us have to live with always. And Ahmed, to your point, I totally agree. I think it's a communication which is most important, and a balancing act which becomes most important. To Shilpa, I think to you, to that point, absolutely. To you, to that point, what are you doing in an organization to promote women not quit the jobs because of the family time?
It's very interesting. Setting apart from women themselves limiting, there is like, we always have this self-limiting thought about, okay, what comes as a priority? It's definitely, after you have child, that becomes a big question for every woman out there.
Yes.
And it's an irony that it's never in general, never a question for a man, right? Working, it's always for a woman that that choice has to be made. So as much as a woman herself has to break that barrier of thoughts, right? Or you can't play yourself guilty all the time, right? There are ways. So there definitely you have to, there is a self-discipline required. Definitely it's going to be challenging. I think as much as the woman does, I think it's equally the organization's responsibility as well, to make sure that
avoid this unconscious bias that goes on, right? It just
and it should not. So I think I can tell you something, in my organization, I'm sure that probably is across the board in software industry. As part of the Women of Virtusa initiatives, we actually did an analysis of the jobs which are on the delivery side, right? Are there any roles that could be done sitting at home? And this was not because of the pandemic. It was like, as part of the Women of Virtusa,
creating the opportunities
with all the thinking through. So we had a meet of all the delivery heads, segment heads, and we thought through, okay, in every program, can we find out 2 roles which a woman, not only a woman, can be done sitting at home, right? You don't have to be always in office to get those roles done. And we did. Actually, there were definitely individual contributor roles where, okay, you come twice a week to office, you engage with your team, you go back, and so I mean that kind of initiative actually helped, because we could then obviously make sure that when people, there are reasons for quitting which are related to, okay, I'm not able to spend time with my kids, or I'm not able to balance my work life. We did give some options to
it's
the
really
women.
great to know. It's really great to know, Shilpa, that you as an organization, I think, and at a leadership position, analyzed and started thinking about it, which I'm sure in many organizations are thinking towards that direction. But it's about the large organizations. If I look at SMEs and small sectors, right, I think that thought process is still not come through, right? So maybe I think that's
And
where
I
an
think that
equality
is
works.
where I think, Asha, we, whenever there are women, we as women, I mean, we are more privileged,
We have to
I
talk
would
out.
say, right? That
Yeah. Yeah.
we had families that supported, we were able to, we were able to go after our dreams in that sense.
Right.
I think when
Create
we are in that
example,
position
lead
of
by
leadership,
example.
we have
True.
to really make sure that we are giving that opportunities to, other women around you. So in my organization, I
Absolutely.
can really proudly say, I have like 60% of my team is, women. And
That's
what I've
amazing.
seen is the attrition levels have been the lowest in my team, because it's like, one, you trust the person to juggle around their family and work balance. So there is in return there is a respect that you earn as well when you give that kind of freedom. I have never
Right.
compromised on quality or the type of work, but as
It's the
leaders, if
trust.
we are
It
not
is the
able to
trust that
promote
you give as a leader.
that
Yeah.
gender equality, who else is going to do that? So I guess it's
Great.
important.
Yeah.
It's a really a responsibility as well, to
Absolutely,
promote other
Shilpa.
women
Yeah,
leaders.
no, absolutely. This has been very insightful. And Francisca, I think, I'll come to you towards the end and maybe we'll take one or two questions. I guess participants were raising hands for the questions. Can we have some questions either on the chat, or you want to just, not sure if you can unmute and you want to ask questions. So we started 5 minutes late and I think we'll end 5 minutes late too. So I'm just opening up panel for the Q&A. Fatma has question. I'm not sure. You can ask the question.
Thank you so much for your valuable conversation. Fatma Zahra, a professor in the Faculty of Education at Ain Shams University. I agree with Dr. Ahmed Hassan that there is no comfort zone because anyone can put himself in this comfort zone, especially women or men. But we need to know the value of women leadership. So the value add to the community and to herself too. First of all, we need the woman to gain and obtain much more skills, soft skills indeed, such as critical thinking, creative thinking, all type of thinking we need to gain these skills to be productive person. We need productive woman to proud of herself firstly, and never find excuses to postponing the work is to postponing anything. We need the woman to be trustful to herself first of all, and to the other people. How? By building, by building by building confidence, self-confidence for the woman, and to have the value of work, not only the job or in her institution or organization, but the value of work, not only the domestic works, but the works that related to her life, the work life. Or
I think you are raising such amazing thoughts. And exactly, you're summarizing the whole panel that we did in a very, very beautiful and a concise manner. I think this topic is always heart touching, right? So the minute I think they talk about gender equality, D&I, right, growth, leadership, these are like these are heart touching topics.
Participate in the community by the real by it's her own skills.
Absolutely.
Not only
I'm sorry, I'm just stopping you, but you've been amazing. I think you're talking about really good insights, but I'm just conscious of time, and maybe we can take one or two more questions if you allow me to do so. You've been amazing. You summarized it very well. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions from any of the participants? So we have loads of questions. Hanadi, do I have 2 more minutes and 2 more questions to take? So.
We have an amazing panel. I cannot say no to this. So, but maybe because we have breakout sessions, maybe very quickly. Yeah.
All right, we'll maybe take one. Probably I can see Maha Shalkami raising the hand. So do you have a question?
Hello, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Thanks a lot. This has been amazing. I'm listening since the very beginning, and it's very insightful and very true, all the points that you have tackled. But I think the core problem of gender, oh, by the way, I'm Maha Shaqami, and I'm an associate professor at the American University. I'm actually an economist, and I have worked with UN Women and Basira on women aspects, especially care and disability. I think the core problem of gender inequality actually lies in culture, tradition, norms, values, and perceptions. And these are so difficult to change. Now, what we really need to work on is how to change these. They can even be impossible. My view is that we have like short run and long run agendas, and you can add to this. Perhaps in the short run, this can be done through media. Media plays a very important role in raising awareness between gender equality. Now, where I come from Egypt, and this is a third world country, and women are, of course, oppressed where I live. In this part of the world, and in our media, it portrays women as always an inferior and a very weak human compared to the male. Even in all series, in movies, she's slapped on the face, she is kicked, she is sworn at, and then she just ends up crying, lying on the floor.
To your point, Maha, I think you're raising a very valid thought, right? So I'll now go back to what Francisca said. I think it's up to us now to just break those self-limiting beliefs and break those perceptions and stereotypes people carry, right? I mean, which is, I think, where the change starts from us, right? I think you made a very amazing point, and I'm sure, I think, you will be the point of a change in the organization. It's been amazing. I'm going back to Fatima. Sorry, I'm just stopping in the interest of the time, but Fatima, this will be maybe a last question that we can take, but request to all the participants is if you have more questions to either Francisca, Ahmed, or or to any of the panelists here, just drop a question here, and I'm sure they'll get back to you on your questions. And just feel free to drop your thoughts. Fatima, back to you on your quick thoughts.
Yeah, I will just jump quickly without saying anything. I will change nothing in the culture, nothing in the society. I will deal with it as if I have the right, and I will use it, and that's it. The fear from inequality create inequality. I won't fear it. I won't fear it. Okay, so I will deal with it as if I have the right to. I have the skills to. This is the job requirement. I have them. I will be it. I will communicate. That's it. That's it. I will stop communicating. This is my right to. I won't say this is my right to. I will act it. I will use it. We do have a critical thinking. We do have skills. We do have everything available. So that's it. I won't say there is anything.
No, you were, I mean, you just electrified with your thoughts, Fatima. I think you just bring that, it's a force that you are bringing in yourself, right? Saying that, why can't I do it, right? I will do it. And I think it's amazing. And I guess to IMA, thank you so much for giving this opportunity. But this panel looks like can go on for another hour as well. It's been amazing. And I still haven't finished my questions. I think I took slightly more time from the audience for the questions. I apologize for this, but please feel free to just drop in your thoughts and questions on the chat box as we keep moving to the breakout session. It's been amazing 1 hour to me, and I really thank IMA for this opportunity and panelists for the amazing thoughts around it. I think experiences are the best way to spread the message, and you did a really amazing job at sharing your experiences. So I have learned a lot, and I'm hoping everybody who attended actually got the most out of this session. I really thank for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Asha.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Bye.
Back to Hanadi.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Asha, and to all our panelists. That was really inspiring. And I quite enjoyed Fatima's comments towards the end. It starts with us.
Hi, I'm Becky Menning with Wiley, and we are thrilled to sponsor the IMA Women's Leadership Summit. As a publisher who has supported learners for over 200 years, we at Wiley understand the importance of continued professional development, no matter your title or tenure in the workforce. And our CMA review course is tailored to support your busy life. From bite-sized lessons to score predictor, we give you everything you need to pass the first time so you can propel your career. Enjoy the sessions today, and thank you for attending.
Okay, welcome back to all the attendees who joined us from the breakout session. We will conclude our program today with inspiring stories from remarkable young CMA female professionals. To kickstart the session, it's my pleasure to welcome and introduce our special guest speaker, Dr. Iman Abdelmohsen Al-Mujahid, Assistant Advisor, Human Resources Development Fund, Saudi Arabia, who will be sharing the fund initiatives to Dr. Iman has extensive experience in planning program development and professional development. She has served as assistant consultant in the General Directorate for developing training programs in HRDF and as a professional development consultant for professional development projects in the Educational Activity Administration and Tatweer Company for educational services. Dr. Iman has a PhD in curricula design from Mohammed bin Saud Islamic University, Social Science College, and a master's in mathematics from King Saud University. She has contributed in several publications and guidelines in professional development. Dr. Iman, a talk will be in Arabic. تفضلي Dr. Iman.
مرحبا. Hello everybody.
Hello.
بداية بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السيدات والسادة الأفاضل، بداية أنا سعيدة جدا بمشاركتي هذا المحفل أو الملتقى الذي يضم نخبة من القائدات الملهمات، ويشرفني أني أنا أمثل المرأة السعودية التي أصبحت يعني في وقتنا الراهن محط أنظار العالم بفضل من الله ثم بدعم من القيادة الرشيدة وولاة الأمر، حيث جعلوا المرأة السعودية المعاصرة شريكاً حقيقياً وفاعلاً في بناء الوطن والتنمية. يتواصل سعي المملكة في تحقيق المزيد في طموح لا يتوقف، وأن تخطو المرأة خطوات تاريخية مشرفة متناسبة مع ثقافة المجتمع ومتغيرات العصر ومخرجاته ومراحله المختلفة ضمن رؤية 2030. هذه الرؤية استهدفت رفع نسبة مشاركة المرأة السعودية في سوق العمل بنسبة 30%، إضافة إلى تمكينها من مناصب سياسية وتقليدها المناصب القيادية في كافة قطاعات الدولة. يسرني في خلال هذا اللقاء أن استعرض معكم بعض برامج صندوق تنمية الموارد البشرية هدف التي استهدفت من خلال تلك البرامج تمكين المرأة. يستهدف صندوق تنمية الموارد البشرية هدف دعم تأهيل القوى العاملة الوطنية ذكور وإناث وتوظيفهم في القطاع الخاص من خلال مبادرات فعالة عالية التأثير في سوق العمل. من أبرز هذه المبادرات في مسار توظيف وتمكين المرأة مبادرات التدريب الموازي. مبادرة التدريب الموازي هي إحدى مبادرات الرؤية أو التحول الوطني، استهدفت من خلالها زيادة مساهمة المرأة بنسبة 100,000 سيدة في التنمية الاجتماعية والاقتصادية من خلال زيادة مشاركتها في وظائف نوعية في مختلف المجالات والمستويات الوظيفية من خلال دعم فرص توظيفها وإزالة الحواجز التي تحول دون تمكينها ضمن خطة خلال 5 سنوات. أيضا من ضمن ممكنات الصندوق برنامج دعم التوظيف هو أحد البرامج الدعم المقدمة من صندوق تنمية الموارد للباحثين والباحثات عن عمل. يتحمل الصندوق فيه نسبة 30% من دعم راتب الباحثين عن عمل، ونسبة 40% كدعم أكبر، نسبة دعم أكبر من أجر الموظفة مدة 2 سنين. أيضا برنامج قرة. برنامج قرة هي مبادرة قدمت خلال الفترة أو طرحت خلال الفترة التي لم تكن يعني متاحة للمرأة السعودية لها قيادة السيارة، فكانت هذه إحدى المبادرات التي دعمت تمكين المرأة العاملة للالتحاق بسوق العمل والاستمرارية فيه، وهي حيث يتحمل الصندوق أجرة توصيلها من خلال الشراكة مع شركات توصيل خاصة. طبعا على الرغم من أنه الآن أصبح قيادة متاح للمرأة، إلا أنه هذا المبادرة لا زالت قائمة، وهي أيضا أحد الممكنات التي لا زال الصندوق يدعم فيها نقل المرأة لمعالجة تحدي المواصلات. في أيضا برنامج قرة. برنامج قرة هي أحد المبادرات المقدمة من هدف. هذه مبادرة تستهدف فيها تمكين المرأة من الالتحاق بسوق العمل والاستمرار فيه والعمل وهي مطمئنة على أولادها، من خلال دعم تسجيل أطفالها في خدمة ضيافة أطفال لدى جهات أيضا مرخصة. دعم الصندوق ومكن المرأة ضمن آلياته بعدة مبادرات تجسيرية تخصصية استهدفت تأهيل القوى العاملة الوطنية النسائية وتدريبهن نظريا وعمليا في مجالات مهنية متنوعة مثل قطاع السياحة والضيافة، قطاع الصحة والترميز الطبي، قطاع العقاري، قطاع التزيين النسائي، وهي ضمن المبادرات التجسيرية التي استهدفت فيها النساء والرجال على حد سواء. أيضا من برامج الصندوق التي تدعم فيها النمو المهني والاحترافية في العمل هي برنامج دعم الشهادات المهنية الاحترافية. برنامج دعم الشهادات المهنية الاحترافية هو برنامج مبادرة يتهدف من خلاله تشجيع وتحفيز القوى العاملة الوطنية في القطاع الحكومي والخاص، إضافة إلى الباحثين والباحثات عن عمل للحصول على شهادات مهنية احترافية معتمدة من جهات مرخصة في المجالات الأكثر طلباً في سوق العمل، من خلال دعم تكاليف تعويض التدريب والاختبار للحصول على تلك الشهادات. من تلك الشهادات هي شهادة المحاسب الإداري أو CMA. شهادة المحاسب الإداري هي إحدى الشهادات المعتمدة في فبراير 2021. دعمها الصندوق لكونها شهادة متقدمة ومعتمدة عالميا من الجمعية الأمريكية للمحاسبين الإداريين، لدعم المحاسبين والمديرين الإداريين في تطوير أداء منظماتهم. أيضا تمكن هذه الشهادة ممارسيها من أدوارهم في اتخاذ قرارات استراتيجية، أيضا تدعم حصولهم على مناصب إدارية في والترقية الوظيفية في عدة مسارات ومهن وظيفية، على سبيل المثال مدير مالي، أخصائي مراجعة وتدقيق مالي وإداري، محاسب مالي، موظف في قطاع الاستثمار، موظف في القطاع البنكي، والعديد من المجالات المهنية. يدعم الصندوق هذه الشهادة بتكلفة تقدر كحد أقصى 1600 ريال دعم تكاليف للاختبار، و12,000 ريال دعم تكاليف للتدريب.
شكرا دكتور إيمان. شكرا لدعمكم لشهادة المحاسب الإداري المعتمد CMA. وهلا بخلال هالجلسة رح نسمع من سيدات أعمال كلهم حاصلات على CMA ليخبرونا كيف CMA غير مسارهم المهني. Thank you very much, Dr. Iman. For the overview of all the programs and initiatives that HADAF and the HRDF offer for the female and male actually Saudi nationals, and for recently accrediting the CMA certification as one of the program where you reimburse almost fully the training fee and the exam fees. So let's now hear from accomplished CMA female leaders about their career journey, major turning points, and their tips and advice to kickstart a successful career in finance. We have with us Rana Itani, CMA, financial control manager at the American University of Beirut. Hello, Rana. Diva, it's actually my university as well. I'm an alumni of the AUB, so I'm proud I'm proud you're joining us this afternoon. We have Divya Divakaran, CMA, Senior Manager, General Accounting at Target. Maysara Abu Saif, CMA, Regional Business Controller, Cartier, and Rimanda Yunan, CMA, Relationship Manager at Qatar National Bank. Rania, let's start with you. We are all ears.
Hi, everyone. I am Rana Aitadi. I am a CPA and a CMA. First, I want to thank IMA for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this summit and to inspire the next generation of women leaders. I currently work, as mentioned, as a financial control manager at the American University of Beirut. I have around 16 years of experience and exposure to a diverse range of industries and companies, including insurance, banking and finance, hospitality, and currently not-for-profit. I started my career as an external auditor at PricewaterhouseCoopers, one of the Big Four audit firms. I reached a point in my career where I needed to increase my earning potential and to stand out from the crowd. That is when I decided to pursue my CPA, and I have completed it. And after many years of professional experience with the CPA, I found myself in need of a different set of skills than those provided by the CPA, mainly strategic management skills. The best match for these skills was the CMA designation. Being a wife and a mom of 3 with a full-time job did not stop me from pursuing this goal of becoming a CMA. With the proper time management and setting my priorities straight, I was able to complete the 2 parts of the CMA exam in a period of 18 months. I ordered my study material online and I self-studied at my own pace. When you study for the CMA, you will have a satisfying feeling of advancement and growth. You will think differently and gain more confidence in every decision you take. What is appealing about the CMA is that, about the CMA designation is that it's a versatile designation, and you will have job offers because of your experience, because of this versatile. You will have several industries will be looking for your expertise in budgeting, financial planning, costing, strategizing, or financial analysis. Pursuing the CMA designation introduced me to the IMA, the Institute of Management Accountants. As a current and proud member of the IMA, I want to take this opportunity to thank IMA for the wide and rich range of online courses and certificates offered free of charge during the Corona pandemic lockdown period. In this period, when many accounting and finance professionals were facing difficult circumstances and needed continuing education and career support, IMA took an excellent care of its members. In conclusion, I want to stress that nothing can stop you from reaching your goals and achieving your dreams. My advice to everyone watching me is to strive for continuous growth and learning. Get out of your state of comfort. Never become satisfied with what you have. Always look for something new and for continuous advancement. This will be the key to your professional success. And to all the CMA candidates attending this session, study hard, it's worth it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rana. That was really inspirational. And thank you also for the credit to IMA. Indeed, actually, on the panel before this session, there was a lot of discussion around moving away from comfort zone. So absolutely, that's the first step to grow. Divya, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Divya Divakaran. I'm a senior manager in general accounting with 16 years of work experience in finance and accounting. I have been fortunate to have worked in reputed organizations like Hewlett-Packard, Thomson Reuters, and Target Corporation. I'm a qualified certified management accountant and a chartered management accountant. To begin with, I would like to share a quote from an inspirational leader, Satya Nadella. CEO of Microsoft, who says, "I truly believe that each of us must find meaning in our work. The best work happens when you know that it's not just work, but something that you will do to improve other people's lives." This quote has shaped my attitude towards work in many ways. Giving a background about my professional journey. As a leader, I'm passionate about building high-performing teams with strong focus on diversity and inclusion. My vision for being a successful leader is to have a growth mindset through continuously investing in ourselves to get better at what we do. Developing talent through empowering and giving right opportunities to team members. If the team wins, we win as a leader. I believe that in order to make an enriching journey, one must learn from their failures. We must continuously work towards staying relevant and adaptable. Now, I would like to talk about why I chose CMA as a part of my upskilling journey. As I grew in my career, I felt the need to upskill myself to stay relevant and adapt to changing requirements in the industry. I chose CMA as, along with being internationally recognized, the CMA course content helped me understand the different facets of finance and get deeper insights into key accounting and financial management areas. What I also thoroughly enjoyed about CMA is a focus on new and upcoming areas like data analytics, operations excellence, decision analysis, planning and control. It is very relevant in today's competitive and fast-paced environment. It helped me in my professional career as I could use my learnings as CMA to apply at my workplace in building stronger controls, providing decision support analysis, using techniques of management accounting, drive usage of data analysis tools, and above all, help me articulate on importance of professional ethics. I must say that I'm more confident and more informed about the decisions that I make today. I would also like to talk about my personal experience of acquiring the CMA qualification. As a working mother, when I chose CMA, I was first apprehensive of how I can make it possible. But I planned my study time, help from study support packages, coaching institute, and with constant support from my family, I was able to complete in 15 months time frame. My advice for someone considering or currently studying for the CMA, especially for working professionals, is to stay focused. Plan your study time, understanding the concepts thoroughly, asking for help. Creating a study group with fellow students also helps a lot, as you can discuss and clarify your queries in real time and learn from each other. Do not hesitate to reach out to any learning resources. As the more you have clarity, the easier it is you have for your exam preparation. At the same time, also be selfless while sharing your knowledge with others. As the more you contribute, the more you will receive back. Even after earning my CMA credentials, I continuously got myself updated about the industry and business throughout the learnings that IMA offers online. The CMA is recognized globally, and we have CMAs in hundreds of countries around the world. So you get access to a wide network of fellow professionals. Certified Management Accounting helps us to think strategically, to innovate, and be curious. I thank CMA for this great learning opportunity that I apply in my professional journey. I would like to end by saying, as a management accountant, there is no limit to what you can do. I wish you all the best in your professional journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Divya. These were great tips for studying, and you have actually what it takes to be a great leader. So I'm sure you're going to have a very bright and successful career. Let's move to Maisara.
Thank you, Hanadi. First of all, Ramadan Kareem to everybody who's fasting, and as well to all the audience from India. We are wholeheartedly with you. I wish you and your family safely. So just small about me. I absolutely have, you know, no agenda, and I wanted to be so real with everyone. I'm a business controller in Cartier. I started my career when I was very young, before I graduated from university. And at some point in my life, I found in my career, I found myself that I wanted to move to a position where I have to manage billions of dollars. And I was the youngest one in the team. And I was completely lost, completely, you know, of course, motivated. And I wanted to have, to succeed with this challenge. So the first thing I did is I decided to go with the professional certification, because you know, my field is analysis and budgeting. So I decided to go with the IMA, the CMA. So did I enjoy studying it? Absolutely not. It was very, very difficult. And at that time, when I took my second exam, I was 9 months pregnant. It was very difficult. And please don't be hard on yourself, and because it is difficult, and it took me a lot of time and effort. And again, I did not enjoy it, but I'll tell you, I enjoyed when I felt that I'm the smartest person in the room in the finance meetings. That's absolutely, like, it was amazing feeling. And it truly makes you feel like that. I know there's a lot of young women that we can inspire, but also a lot of young men here that are listening to us. And if you want to reach very quickly, and if you want to sit on the big table and to have to fill your chair that you are in, regardless of the company that you are working on. For me, the equation of success is quite clear, and it's very simple. It's an equation of hardworking. So for me, when I hire somebody in my team, having a certification is one of the things that it's indication that this person have worked really, really hard and put so much time and effort into you know, working on themselves, developing their knowledge, and being that person that, you know, be the best in the field they are doing. And for all the women out there, you know, when I started around 12 years ago with my career, it was the industry of finance was almost dominated by women, and we work really, really hard to be on the big table. And I would say, like, the past few years have been much, you know, better. And I mean, the company I work for, in the management level, over 50% of it is women. And to reach to that level, again, you need to work hard, you need to work on yourself, you need to develop your knowledge. And you know, you have all the resources in finance, and most of them are not really expensive. And you can, you know, as Rana said, you can go with your own pace, you can order your books, it's not something very complicated as, you know, as many other fields, for example, technology or whatever. So so the other thing that I wanted to add, very important things that you need to take care of, is not just, it's something not related to IMA, not related to CMA, but it's something that I wish somebody have advised me a long time ago. It's very important as a finance, of course, to know the standards, to know to be certified, etc. But it's also very important to work on yourself, on your communication, on your soft skills, and all the things that give that, you know, impact, and to be not just finance who does the P&L correctly, but that creative finance. This is how when you become a leader, you can impact other people's life. You can be, you know, inspire other people. Is when you add this, you know, the element of fun and creativity. And I'll tell you what, finance is not all standards and boring. You can really make a difference, and you can make a lot of, you know, things and play with it around. And I'll tell you what, like, in reality, it's true that in every company, sales and marketing is very important, but without us as finance, they can go nowhere. So it's reality, and it's happened in every single company. We are the backup. We are, the consultant. We are the one who direct where the company to go. It's true that we are not in the face, we are in the back, but if we are doing things right, then the direction of the business goes right. So that's all for me. And thank you so much, Hanadi, for hosting me today. And I wish everybody a great career ahead. And if you need any advice, please feel free to contact me on LinkedIn. I'll be available for you anytime. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maysara, and thank you for also bringing to the conversation the importance of soft skills, because management accountants are business partners, and you need that soft skill, you need that communication skills as a business partner. Last but of course not least, Ramonda, تفضلي, over to you. I think you are on mute, Ramonda.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you, Hanadi. I'm honored to be with you today. Today, I want to tell you about how the CMA impacted my career. So I'm going to take you through 3 important stations in my career that I hope will inspire you and guide you through your own. The first station is putting the pieces together. Truth be told, I didn't know what I want to do after graduation. All I knew was that I wanted to pursue a career in the field that I love the most, finance. But I didn't want to be confined to just one aspect of it, and I wanted to explore as much as possible. By that time, I was back in Cairo, and I got accepted to work as a graduate trainee at one of the big automotive groups in Egypt. And it seems like the perfect opportunity to rotate across these different departments and finally figuring out what I want. But even though it seems like the perfect solution, I still was distracted. I figured maybe I want it all, but that of course was until I know about the CMA program and what it has to offer for me. As part of the graduate program, I got the opportunity to work directly with the CFO and in turn to work closely with the upper management, while I started studying for CMA Part 2 at the same time. And the more I learned about interpreting financial ratios and profitability analysis, the more I started to apply that knowledge to the monthly reports I presented to the management. And the more I got to stand out among competition, not only just as a female, but as a young female. This knowledge let me stand in a unique position between the finance side and the management side of business. And it was finally time for me to start putting the pieces together. The next station is sharpening my saw. With time, I came to handle different tasks, but I want to share with you 2 assignments that taught me the importance of flexibility. First, in light of the slowdown in the automotive sector in Egypt in 2016, after the government decision to devaluate the Egyptian pound, I was assigned to help build a business model for a new auto finance company with the aim to revive the sales of 3-wheelers during that time. But with less than 2 years experience, that seems like quite a challenge. I knew I needed to sharpen my skills. And again, the CMA was there to provide me with the support I needed to rise up to the challenge. My learnings about MPV, IRR, payback period, cost of capital largely compensated for my skills, my lack of experience at that time, and actually put me up to the job to provide informative recommendation regarding the underlying investment. Second, after moving to work at one of the leading distribution groups in the Middle East, the company was using a locally designed ERP system. But actually the system lacked some aspects that we needed to work on. So there was my second challenge. So learning some basic knowledge of VBA and understanding of how ERP system works, my team and I managed to transform the financial reports to be in a form of a dashboard where financial information can be easily interpreted and compared to budget or any required period. Next, the gift. A few years later, I received a call from this place I interviewed for a year earlier, asking me to join them. No interview needed and no assessment required. I guess I'm ready now. Now it has been over 2 years for me working at the corporate investment and banking department at one of the most renowned banks, QNB. For 2 years, I have been handling a portfolio of the top companies operating in food and beverage in Egypt, analyzing their financials, making projections, and writing recommendations about potential investments, and actually loving what I do every day. In the end, I can say with confidence that CMA is your ticket to the business world. And in case you like to move across all areas of business like me, CMA will help you deliver that. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to more questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rimonda. That was amazing. I mean, your passion shows all the way, and congrats on getting a job without an interview. That's a first for me. So well done to you. Thank you so much, ladies. That has been really, to me personally, very inspiring. It always fills my heart to see successful female leaders. So well done to you all. Please keep sharing your knowledge. Keep mentoring the people that work with you, for you, and make sure also they grow as you grow. Nina, Joe, are we taking questions? Do we have any questions?
Thanks, Hanadi. Thank you to all of our panelists. Yes, we do have a couple of questions. We have a question for Divya, basically saying, now that you have with the CMA, what are your career ambitions?
Hi, thanks for your question. So my ambition is to be a finance controller. So I'm passionate about financial reporting, and as today as well, I do financial reporting, and I would like to be a finance controller.
Thank you, Divya. We have another question for Maysara. Did your employer encourage you while you were studying for the CMA, or did they find, or perhaps if they didn't know, when they found out later on, what was the what was the reaction from before, but before and after?
When I applied for my current job, I was have done the first part, and I was applying for the second part for the CMA. The company supported me a lot and appreciate my effort a lot, and they gave me extra time and a few days off. Days is not enough, but it was nice break before the exam. They absolutely supported me, and as well, it was very nice. It came up with my year-end review last year, and when I got promoted, that's one of the points. That you're willing to work on yourself, and it's for everyone. That's why it's one of the things that I mentioned. If you pursue a certificate, that's an indication that you work a lot on yourself, because it's not easy, and everyone knows that it's not easy. So yeah.
Thank you, Maysara. Rimonda, did you have that? I mean, obviously that impact with your with your employer as well. So you're on mute.
Actually, I got the same support from. By that time, I was actually changing during CMA Part 2. I was working at a different company, and they gave me like 2 weeks off to study for the exam before the exam. So it's actually good for the company itself and its image to have CMA holder. So in the end, it's a win-win situation. So they promote such a thing.
No, absolutely, that's great. Thank you for that. Rana, knowing that you work for diverse kind of industries, how would you define the role that you do currently working for a for an educational institute versus working for a private institution?
Working for the educational institution, first of all, it's a not-for-profit organization. You don't have owners, you don't have shareholders, you have board of trustees. So working for a not-for-profit organization now, it's like achieving a mission that you want to do in life, And to answer, I would like to say that I aspire to be a president of the university. That this is how far you can go with your dreams, with your goals. You see, when you think big, you will achieve big. So this is what I have to say.
Absolutely, thank you for that. Thanks, Rana. Divya, I see you want to answer a question with regards to with respect to your career. What's one thing that makes you happy? Is there a moment or experience that you are particularly proud of as a personal or professional accomplishment?
I don't think in my career I had any moment which I would say was a low moment. I would say every time that I had come across something, I did find it as a learning experience for me. But one thing what also helped me going was doing these certifications. I think Maisara spoke about it really well, as how much certifications help us in our career. So as I started to pick up a lot of certifications, especially CMA, had given me a lot of insight about the industry know-how and to do a lot of data analysis and learn about robotics, business intelligence tools. These are the things that really help me to do well in my career.
Fantastic, thank you, Divya. Would anyone else like to jump into that? Or I think you've all covered it. Okay. Well, I don't think we have any more questions. Thank you so much to our wonderful speakers. I think you've shared some amazing, advice, and your journeys have been nothing short of inspirational. So thank you once again. Thank you to all of our attendees. We hope you've enjoyed this IMA Women's Leadership Summit, and we look forward to seeing you all next year in good health.